is a huge hit for them in the private sector because
that's
in the private sector, the security clearance is worth a lot of
Yeah.
money. We're talking potentially hundreds of thousands of dollars you're leaving on the table. So this is like a huge hit.
My ex-wife had a security clearance for a while, and when she went from working went from being in the Marine Corps to working in the private sector, the amount of money that she could pull in right out of as an E5, she got out of the Marine Corps as an E5, and her first job she was making a boatload of money, and it was just because of the security clearance. It's not that, it's not that she was doing something totally different than what she did in the Marine Corps, but with that security clearance, it really does benefit. Do you think, Kevin, that this is something that, do you think that this is just a punishment where that losing of the security clearance is actually like losing, the ability to make money? And do you think that this is, even if they don't have the ability to arrest them, they're going to say, well, you know what, you behaved this way and we know you did, and so we're going to take your security clearance so that way you can't capitalize on it?
Well, I mean, as you all mentioned, I think it is a showcase, certainly, but I think there's a lot more names in the well than they're pulling out right now, and maybe they're sending out a signal with it. Look, if you look back to Russian inclusion, we all knew it was a joke. We all knew it was to begin with. I mean, do you think Putin wants Trump in office? Of course he wants Biden. Of course he wants Hillary. He doesn't want, because he knows he can push those guys around. He can't push Trump around. There's no way he'd want him in there. So for them to go through this, I think they should be punished for it in some way, because it was a joke. They all knew they were lying. Schiff is at the head of it all. But, I think it's good. I think it's a start. At least it shows something out there. But I think there's bigger fish to catch out there, and I hope they do it.
I mean, yeah, this is what keeps people around the deep state, so to speak. I mean, it is very real. This is the type of thing we're referring to as these bureaucrats that maintain the benefits even after a new administration has come in. So, this cuts them off from the private sector, so it cuts them off from a lot of wealth. And also, if God forbid a Democrat does come into office in 2028, it's going to make appointing a lot of these people re-entry into the government a lot more difficult, because now they have to re-enter the security clearance process.
But I think Nancy Pelosi will still give them stock tips, so they'll probably do okay.
Fair enough.
If she's around, then I mean, she's she's an old lady now, but she, nobody can pick stocks like Pelosi. To your point, Tate, the revolving door, I do think that's worth mentioning. This is actually likely to close that revolving door on a lot of these people. So, and taking away the ability for them to come back. It is something that we talked about. I think we talked about it last night. If the Democrats win, the whole bureaucracy will be reinstalled, right? So the next time that a Democrat is elected to the office of president, they're going to appoint a lot of the same people and a lot of the same kind of people, the people that believe that the administrative state is necessary and that it is more important to have the administrative state as opposed to making the rules, as opposed to Congress making the rules. And I think that's one of the major problems that we have in the U.S. right now, that Congress has abdicated their responsibilities and they've handed it over to the bureaucracy, because the bureaucrats are the ones that stay there. The bureaucrats are the ones that don't go away. If a congressperson, if they make a vote that their constituents don't like, they can lose their job. So why make a vote when you can just hand off the responsibility to Congress?
Well, I mean, it's true across the world that governments that are not accountable to a democratic system are much more agile. They can make long-term plans. So it makes sense that even within democracies like the United States, even though we're a constitutional republic, but they've sort of hammered in a lot of democratic institutions that didn't exist in the founders' eyes. That's neither here nor there. The problem is, like you said, it's going to create an incentive for Congress to kick the long-term strategic planning off to bureaucrats, because they're concerned about winning another election. So the best they can do is just provide enough red meat to get across the finish line for the next election and let the bureaucrats figure out all the long-term strategic planning. That's how you end up with forever wars. That's how you end up with ridiculous tax systems. That's how you end up with ridiculous social programs, because those programs are not, they're not, the bureaucrat or the Congress people are not held accountable for those programs in the eyes of the voters. They can just pawn it off to someone.
And that's one of the ways that we have moved away from being a representative republic. The fact that our representatives don't actually take votes. They don't make votes. They're not held accountable. They've offloaded that responsibility to the bureaucrats, and the bureaucrats don't answer to the voters at all. No. So I don't think that it's accurate to say that we're a democracy. No. And we're definitely not a republic.
Definitely not a republic.
Because we don't have representatives anymore. Yeah. Mm-hmm. So when people say that we're an oligarchy. I don't think that that's accurate either, but I'm not sure exactly what type of government we could actually say that we do have now.
Thanks for checking out this clip from Timcast IRL. Make sure to watch the show live Monday through Friday at 8 p.m. Subscribe to this channel, and we will see you all there.